Okay, welcome everybody to today's class. Hope everything's working okay, because it seemed to be a little bit different from normal what was written on my phone. Okay, so today we're looking at A positives. Now I've already done a couple of videos on A positives and they're a very useful rhetorical device, really. And if you're not using A positives in your writing or in your speaking, then you're missing out, because it's a lovely device to use. It's a really flexible rhetorical device, and we're going to look at some of the different types of A positive today. And all great writers use this trick. It's really quite a simple trick, but it's something that can help to improve the variety in your language. Like everything else that we study. We're studying these things so that we can make our language more beautiful, yeah, and certainly to increase the variety, to make sure we're using lots of different structures to get our points across. I hope I've got that in camera. Okay, so what is an A positive? That's the very first question. Well, it's a noun phrase followed by another noun phrase, and both noun phrases refer to the same object. Now, what you'll usually see is something like Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, will be on TV later. Something like that. And Boris Johnson is the same object as the Prime Minister, and therefore this is a good example of an A positive, and very often we need commas for A positives, okay? But Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, is probably the most boring A positive I can think of. Yeah, I just wanted to give you all a nice clear example of what an A positive is. And it's a noun phrase, a thing, like Boris, and then another noun phrase, another thing, like the Prime Minister. But of course, you actually see writers using this trick in a lot of different ways. So let's look at some of the different ways that George Orwell, some of the different methods or different A positives that George uses in several of his books. But I want to make it clear that all writers use A positives, all of them. And so if you're not using them, you want to ask yourself why. So look at the first one, the multiple A positive. And I've just made these categories up, but I'm just trying to show you that you can take the idea of an A positive and you can split it up into different groups, because there are lots of different types of A positive and you want to be using lots of them. So the multiple A positive, this just means that you have more than two noun phrases. You've got 3 noun phrases or 4 noun phrases, and every single noun phrase refers to the same object. So it's still an A positive, but it's a multiple A positive. So have a look at this one. I think it's from George Orwell's The Hanging. Francis, that's one guy, right? The head jailer, that's the same guy. A fat Dravidian in a white drill suit and gold specs.